Welcome and good morning to a new market update. And today, as you can see up here, we're going to discuss Chainlink as there is lots of FUD regarding that project, and that's just a chance to get it very cheap, right? Do not forget to subscribe beneath here and also like this video and follow me on Instagram and Twitter, as there I'm also posting content regarding crypto and investing and trading and just my life. But Chainlink is getting into a point of interest, and the actual value is being made in projects that are currently being undervalued, are accumulating, are not in the spotlight, or receive FUD regarding the actual project. And Chainlink is one of those in which it can grant you a nice entry point. And I do not expect that the overall FUD is actually reasonable at this stage. And to me, we have seen it previously as well on projects like Swipe, where there was lots of negativity regarding the actual project. When the price was dropping down, as bag holders want the price to go up, and when it goes down, it's always to be blamed on the project, and it's called a scam, which as a matter of fact is not. It's just how market cycles behave, and that's why you can make money in the markets, right? So Chainlink right now, and if we zoom out a little, we can see that we're just seeing a very big picture of what has happened in the past as well. So if we start to zoom in on any of those corrective periods, you can see that those last for a certain amount of time, in which we see an expansion in 2019, correction towards the previous levels of support, expansion once again, correction, expansion, correction, etc., etc. So the market goes in cycles, and Chainlink is currently in a cycle where it's still being corrective, as we can see that we had a very big upwards impulse wave during 2020, in which it came into the top 10 of the markets. Beautiful. But since then we are seeing that we are correcting, and we found ourselves a bottom at 36,000 sats. Since then, a nice upward surge has happened, but we found resistance at the previous support zone and couldn't break through it. And since that period, we are making lower highs and lower lows. And currently we're still doing that, but we are approaching two very significant support zones for Chainlink, which should be watched in general. So we're seeing this support zone between 40k to 45k sats, and we also see the support zone at 36. So these two are very interesting for me to look for potential opportunities, and we're seeing that we're receiving some bounces from this area as well. So in the case of a reversal of the markets, what would you like to see? Well, as a matter of fact, you would like to see that we might be going towards 60k sats, come back down, test again whether the price can go down one more time. If that fails to do so, we bounce immediately back up and flip the previous support for support again. That is a usual sign of a higher low and a reversal around the corner. So even if we get a further drop towards 36k, you want to see the same example as we just see here, in which we double bottom or flip back and create a higher low, in which as a matter of fact it happened in January as well, and then we can start accelerating. So what's the plan right now? What you should be doing with those projects is that you have to look at the Bitcoin pair to see how it's valued against Bitcoin, but you should start accumulating on moments that you don't feel comfortable doing that. So you should be interested in projects that do not have all the positive vibes surrounding it, because once everybody is going to discuss it, you're too late. I can tell you up front, if Chainlink is here, most of you do not have an interest in the project, but once it gets into any of these zones again, everybody wants to have it. But if you were slightly before the mass, you would have been up 80% already. So that's how you navigate into those markets and get and create an entry point. So I'm looking to see a bottoming construction on Chainlink in any of these regions. And from that perspective, we can see a run towards 80k, Most likely we're going to consolidate a little before we start to accelerate heavily. But once we get in anything of this region, you should be aware that the best entry is just gone. And you can see an example on the left here where the price is just accelerating relatively fast and does not grant you any opportunity apart from this one. That's basically the only entry you could have on a daily time frame after this acceleration started. So you should be accumulating when nobody is discussing the project. When we're going to discuss the USDT pattern of Chainlink, we can see that same on Bitcoin. We are on the edge of a significant move or decision of the markets in itself. We can see the same construction as we do here. What I want to see on the lower time frame or on the short time period here is that we are holding onto this area between 26.5 and 28. So I'll just give it an horizontal ray. I would love to see that happen or continue to be support, because that's the current construction. If that sustains support in this entire region, I can assume that we will be seeing continuation as a matter of fact. However, just as Bitcoin has some critical levels to hold, if Chainlink is going to hold 26.7, I'm going to look at, or is not going to hold that level, I'm going to look at a further drop down, and then I just marked it. We got two levels to watch, so I'm going to be interested in anything in the region of 21.8 to 23.3, and I'm going to look at anything in the region around $20, which is close to the previous high. So either way, if we do lose 26.7, I'm going to look at a construction in which we just make another round at bottom or test some lower levels, and then we start accelerating once again. But if we do hold 26.7, I'm assuming that we start accelerating already, and then I'm going to look at target points that are pretty much close towards $50. Yeah, there we go, 47 and $63. So there's also some other projects that are relatively interesting at this stage, and you can see that there's a very blurry chart here. But the point here is what I'm trying to make is that DIA is just barely waking up, did not have any bull cycle yet, but it's also an oracle that you have to watch. So once you're going to invest into a certain niche of the markets or a segment of the markets, you don't want to put it all into one basket. Or you want to do due diligence on the projects itself, and then once you finish those, you are going to put some percentages of your portfolio into a certain segment. So I'm interested in Chainlink, but I'm also interested in what the oracles are doing in general, and there are more of those that could be interesting. Teller is around, API 3, Band Protocol, DIA. Those are all projects that are very interesting to watch. And today we have discussed Chainlink, but we can also discuss DIA, and Teller has a similar chart construction in itself, so we don't really need to discuss that one too much. But what we can see on DIA is that we have a very critical resistance zone that we have to break, and once again we are failing to do so. So we did see a nice surge to the upside, as you can see. So the area between 700 sats and 770 sats, we can't break through it. So that's the critical resistance zone that we have to break for continuation. But if we zoom out, it's just on the edge of a massive breaker. And then you're going to look at the downside, what is critical to hold in general there. Well, we can see it already. The overall OB we had at 400 sats is holding for support. So this entire region is critical to hold. We did that, so it's not assumed that we go that far down again. So in this entire construction right now, what is critical to hold? I would assume that anything between 460 sats to 510 sats is what we want to see sustain. If we get there, it's a massive opportunity to buy. If we do not get there and just consolidate and test the resistance zone once again, I'm assuming that we're going to have a massive breaker to the upside, and then I'll be looking at anything at 1100 sats first, and then even 2k sats. You can also use the moving averages in general for a bottoming construction. If you would put a 200 MA around here, probably the 200 MA is doing this. So then you get a compression period, and then once it starts to break, the EMAs make that golden cross and start to flip, and it continues to run heavily as it has its first bull cycle. So if we look at DIA against USDT, we can also see that we just had a pretty nice upwards move after retesting previous levels for support, right? So the level that we have as the 1.618 Fibonacci level is critical. We did see that we got there, massive, it still works. But more importantly, we can see that we've tested previous highs for support, continued. So we do have this previous high, flipped for support after this massive run, and now we start accelerating. So what are the levels to watch for support in general? As a matter of fact, you don't want to see DIA drop below $3 in general. So this entire green region that we have here, that's where you want to see it hold for support, but most likely we're just going to see a test at $3.30 and then we just continue running. So something like this is most likely what we're going to expect, and that's where I'll be interested in the markets in itself. And then we can start making target zones on the entire move, through which $5.50 is a target zone and $8.20 is next. So that's my view on some of those oracles, as Taylor is basically the same of DIA at this stage. If you like this video, please like beneath and subscribe to the channel. I'll be back tomorrow with a new video on why altcoins are just going to continue moving in this beautiful environment that we have with the markets currently. Enjoy your day, enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you again tomorrow.